watching the It's Hertime podcast with Cody and Jess.
Karalynne is such a good source for so much information. She's like you, an encyclopedia.
I don't even claim to even come close to Karalynne. I love talking with her though. Because,
you are so smart.
Well, thank you. That's so nice.
You are so
Karalynne
smart.
is our guest today. And
she's great.
amazing.
We love Karalynne. She's a friend of ours. She lives here locally. So it's fun when we get to interact with her. And so that will be great to go into that episode. But first, we always love to do Mixers Girls Say. And today it's perfect because we actually had our Mixers community submit their favorite positive affirmations. So I'm going to share some of these positive affirmations. You ready?
I love it.
Do you do affirmations?
I do, actually. I'm not like, guy that's looking at himself in the mirror from Saturday Night Live. What was his name? Jack Handy, I think. Where he's like saying the positive affirmations in the mirror. It's a good thing. It works. It's important.
That's a great
thing.
Yes, I do affirmations with my kids.
I love it.
So, I am loved. That's one that I do with my kids every night.
Good.
This too shall pass. We've been there, and it does in fact pass.
It does. And you learn good things sometimes when it does pass.
Yes.
Sometimes not.
I am brave. We've learned we're brave too. Wait, this is getting funny. We've learned we're brave.
We need these affirmations.
We're like, can you tell we're like, okay, we are brave. No, but honest truth is that we have recognized through Mixers that we are brave.
Gives us many opportunities to prove that.
Yes. I am enough. I am woman.
These are affirmations that our listeners are sending in.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't gather that at the beginning. This is great.
Yes. Being authentically me is my power.
That one's a good one. Being authentically me is my power. That's right.
I am present. I love these.
These are good. You guys are good.
There's plenty more. We will share more of them later.
Maybe try some of these at home.
Mm-hmm.
Look at yourself in the mirror. It might seem kind of uncomfortable at first.
It's only uncomfortable the first couple times.
No, but if you just really look at your eyeballs and you really connect and you see yourself and then you talk to yourself, I feel like I connect with my inner child and I feel like it's just, it is very effective. So give it a try.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear this episode.
It's going to be good.
Mixers is a company made for women by women. Each of our products have been carefully and lovingly crafted to support you in all stages of your life, providing you with the optimal health you deserve. Each ingredient we handpick is 100% all natural, backed by science, and chosen specifically to better your life physically, mentally, and hormonally. Each product empowers your body to take charge of its monthly hormonal shift and flows, empowering you to live life to the fullest. Let Mixers take care of your needs from sunup to sundown, and you take care of the rest. Check us out at mixers.com, Mixhers.
Here we are. This is Karalynne Call. Many of you guys will know her from her Instagram account, Just Ingredients. She is a wealth of knowledge, and I have been looking forward to this discussion and conversation with you because I just love hanging out with you and having all of the nerdy conversations about how amazing like our human bodies are and nutrition and how important it is about what we put in and on our bodies. But I feel like you're such a great resource. So I want you to introduce yourself to the few of you that maybe have never met Karalynne. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us your story.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Yeah. And we could talk for hours about all the amazing things that food does and all those things. But I'll tell you how I got started.
Yeah.
So 16 years ago, I found myself with suicidal depression and actually attempted suicide. And at that point, I realized, well, thankfully, by the grace of God, it did not happen.
Right.
And so at that point, I realized, oh my goodness, I have hit rock bottom. Like there is nowhere lower than this to go. And so I thought, I need help. So I just knew that the body could heal itself because I thought, okay, like when you break a bone, if you use the right tools, it heals. Or you cut yourself, it heals itself. So I'm like, I haven't always been this way. I haven't always had this depression, been in this terrible, dark place. So the body's got to be able to heal somehow, but I just didn't know how. I didn't have the tools. I did not grow up knowing anything about health, anything about nutrition. So all I knew was like, okay, it's got to be able to heal somehow.
Was it just common sense that you had that knowledge that like the body can heal? Because I feel like sometimes that's like a missing truth. I think so many of us just miss that fact that yes, a wound heals and you can literally watch it time lapse and it's amazing. The body knows what to do. But in a situation where you're feeling like so down and depressed and like kind of hopeless, to have that clarity of thought, I think is amazing.
Well, and I think I had to hit rock bottom to have that thought, like, okay, there's nowhere else to go. I just attempted suicide. Like, I've got to fix this. I haven't always wanted to attempt suicide. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, I know I can fix this somehow. So the frustrating part was I went to doctor after doctor. And the first doctor I went to was like, oh, there's nothing we can do about depression. There's no way to heal from it, but I can give you an antidepressant. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing wrong with antidepressants.
Sure.
They were life-saving for me. My problem was I would say, well, is this antidepressant going to heal me? And they would say no. And so then I'd go to another doctor and the exact same thing, like, we don't know how to heal from depression. We can just give you this antidepressant. Well, and I tell people now, if they have a doctor that tells them that they cannot heal from depression, like, run. Your doctor's a dinosaur.
Right. Exactly.
Granted, that was 16 years ago. So I give them,
but still today, doctors are saying this. So
I know, which is ridiculous because now we have so much research on this.
Yeah.
So thankfully, after 2 years of searching for a doctor, I did find a doctor that was like, yeah, I can help you, but there's no magic pill for this. This is going to take a lot of hard work. It will take time. And we've got to do a lot of tests because depression is your body screaming for help. Right. Basically, you've got a lot of things messed up is what she said, but it's really like underlying root causes of this depression. She's like, it's not just something you were cursed with. It's your body asking for help, which that was the first time that I was like, okay, that makes sense. And yeah, if it's things wrong in my body, that's the healing that needs to be done. So we did a lot of blood work, urine tests, saliva tests, just to see what was going on. And yep, I had so many things wrong, like low on vitamin D, couldn't absorb my B vitamins. I had food intolerances. My cortisol was crazy, hormonal imbalances, adrenals struggling, liver struggling, just so many things. And so the depression was just a sign of like, I've had it. I've had enough. Like, I can't run on what you're feeding me and what you're giving me. And so you had full-blown depression.
Yeah. So depression is like the symptom of all of the other, issues that were going on. And it's what finally got your attention then.
Right. And so I went on an 18-month journey with her where she helped me heal from these things and taught me a lot about food, supplements, amino acids, things that we put on our body, things like that. And then about a year in, she helped me wean off my antidepressants. And so I tell people, like, never go cold turkey off of them, work with a professional to do it. But because we had worked for a year of healing these underlying root causes, then I was able to slowly wean off of it. And so that 18-month journey with that doctor really started my health journey. And I saw like a 360 in how I felt. And so I was like, I have got to learn more about this. And then I just started reading more about nutrition and taking classes. And then I went back to school to get my nutrition certificate, things like that. So, and once I got off those antidepressants, I had the fear of never wanting to go back to that darkness again because it is terrible.
Right.
It is a feeling of hopelessness. You think you're stuck in that darkness forever. There's no hope or peace. And so learning this new information, I thought, okay, I'm empowered to take care of my body. I've got the power to do that. So I'm going to fuel it properly. I'm going to nourish it properly, treat it properly so that I never fall back to that depression again. And so that's what I did. And then, do you want me to tell you how I got started with Just Ingredients?
I would love to continue
okay, sorry,
on.
I keep just telling about my health story.
No, I want to know the background on it because I feel like a lot of times, we go through these really hard moments in our lives, especially as practitioners. I've talked to other nutritionists. I've talked to other people that are in the health and wellness world. It always starts with our own struggle. And that's what kind of drives us to find solutions. And so I know there's so many listeners that are tuning into this and they're relating to the story and they might, who knows where in this journey they're on, but they might recognize and like relate to the beginning of your journey. But it's hopeful and it gives so much empowerment to us to know that it's possible to continue the journey on and there's so much growth that happens. So I love it. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing all of this story with us. But yeah, let's hear how this whole story continues.
Happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 5 years ago, I kept having this like feeling, you need to share your story. And I was like, I am not sharing my story about depression because 16 years ago, when I did share it with people, I was judged, criticized. I had the meanest comments said to me. So I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Can we talk about that for just a quick second?
Yes.
Because that's a pet peeve of mine. You know, when somebody is diagnosed with cancer, the community like comes together and surrounds you. But if anything is brought up about a mental disorder or a mental illness, it's like shun, you know?
Right.
And I'm hoping that having these kinds of conversations that is changing. I see it changing, but I want it to be like changing a lot faster than it is. But we're going to
do too.
Yeah.
People just need to be open about it, and we need to talk about it, and we need to realize, and this is where I'm trying to educate, realize that it's not like this weakness that you've been given. It usually is a true medical issue that needs to be addressed. Right. And so what is so shameful or embarrassing about that?
Yeah.
But
yes,
anyways.
I wholeheartedly agree. So thank you.
So 5 years ago, just kept having this feeling to share my story. And I didn't want to. But then I started noticing around me that everybody was sick, like family members, neighbors, church members, community members. They were dealing with depression, anxiety, autoimmune issues, migraines, chronic fatigue, you know, all these things. And I kept thinking to myself, oh my gosh, if I could just go cook for these people for 1 month, I know they would feel so much better. Or if I could just go give them certain things in their pantry and take out certain things. And I'm like, well, you can't do that. You know, so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to start a little hobby. I want to start a little Instagram page and just give people little tips of easy things they can do on a daily basis that would help them feel better. And I'm like, if I get 2,000 followers, then I've done my job and I've educated people, and it's been great. Well, lo and behold, I started this, but it just organically grew. Like it just showed me that people are hungry for this info, because there's a lot of people out there not feeling good. And so they want these little simple daily tricks that they can do every day to feel better. And so that's how Just Ingredients started.
And I think that's what you've done so brilliantly, is that you have made it so it seems like it's doable. Because I know, yes, so many of us are dealing with so many symptoms. We're debilitated by symptoms, and we're just looking for help. And then when somebody says, well, just clean up your diet, or just, you know, care about, it's like, that seems huge. Like, okay, but I don't even know what to go grocery shop for. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be looking for. And it just feels like people feel like they need to go and get a nutrition degree in order to understand how they can really help themselves. But that's what I love about what you're putting out there, is because they're doing these little bits of education, because a little bit of knowledge is very powerful. But then giving actionable steps so that these people that are following you are like, oh yeah, this or that. You know, when I'm going to the grocery store, I can choose this or I can choose that, and this is why. I feel like you do an amazing job with that. So,
well, thank you. And I'll tell you, when, like I said, I did not grow up with this health knowledge. I knew nothing. Like, I ate Frosted Flakes for breakfast, probably a bologna sandwich for lunch, and some frozen meal for dinner. Like, that's just how I ran. And so when I started working with that doctor who helped me heal from depression, when she was like, and we should probably change some of your foods and your diet, that thought was, I can't do that. Like, that's too much. And so I even told her, I said, if this becomes too overwhelming for me, I just have the personality that I won't do it. I'll just quit. So I need you to take like little baby steps with me and just teach me one thing at a time. And so I was like, I don't think I'm the minority in this. I think that's a lot of people, because people think like, oh, I've got to do this new diet or I've got to eat kale and sardines. And I'm like,
and that's just depressing in and of itself, right? So it's like,
yeah, it's like, no, you get to still eat your hamburgers and pancakes or whatever. Let's just eat those foods with more nourishing ingredients rather than harmful ones.
Yeah. So why does that matter so much? Tell me about why these ingredients matter so much.
So our bodies are miraculous. They really are. When you study the science behind them, it's just incredible. But they need to be fueled properly. And our bodies want to do us good, but they can't do us good if we're not fueling them properly and taking care of them properly. And so really, it's our food that nourishes our body. And so food's really important to nourish them so that they can perform properly.
Yeah. It's what we're putting in our body that actually gives the message to our body that it can function optimally. And so it's like the foundational piece, and those nutrients matter. And so that's why you're going to hear Karalynne and me and all of us that are in this field just really kind of maybe being a broken record, but talking about how important it is that the kind of fuel that you're putting in your body, you want to make sure that it's like premium, and that you'll feel it. You will feel it. It's not a quick fix. It took you 18 months to kind of feel the benefit fully, from this change, but it is healing. These nutrients, when they're put into the body knows what to do with them. And it is miraculous. Our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are self-healing. They know they want to run as they're designed to. And so it's so important, but yet we live in a world right now where, the food that's surrounding us is very nutrient deficient. And a lot of the symptoms that so many of us struggle with and have, in common is a lot of them caused from nutrient deficiency. So yeah, and depression is one of them for sure. And anxiety and, PMS and, all the things that we talk about, right? So a lot of it comes from that nutrient deficiency.
Let's talk about this for a minute.
Okay.
Because I just talked about this with somebody this weekend.
Okay.
And I've used this analogy on my page before. And I have said, if you were gifted a Lamborghini for free,
right?
If I was given one, I would Google about it. I would research about it. I would figure out what gas to put in it, when I needed to
I'd actually read the manual, which I never do.
Like when I needed to take care of it with oil changes or whatever, right? The maintenance on it. I would know the basics of this car. Well, I was telling this person, we've been gifted this miraculous body, but most of us don't even know the basics to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially women, I'm finding out with even like you said, PMS, their monthly cycle. Women don't know the basics, but yet we have this every single month. And I'm like, we have just got to learn the basics of our body. For instance, like omega-3s, they're the building blocks for hormones. So some of these girls that have hormonal issues are just low in omega-3s.
Right.
But when I tell people that, they're like, wow, that's so amazing. And I'm like, well, it's just a really simple basic. Like we've got to somehow educate women on the basics. Or like magnesium, it calms the nervous system. It's so good for hormones as well. It's
absolutely
good for
necessary.
PMS.
Yes.
Like it runs 800 different functions in our body or helps with 800 different functions. So as women, we've got to know if we're having PMS issues or complete stress issues, whatever, maybe we're low in magnesium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't need to be doctors about all this stuff. And we don't need to know all this in-depth stuff about these minerals and vitamins and all these things, but we should just know the basics. So I don't know why as women, we don't know.
There's a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect. And I think, I don't know who we blame for this.
I don't either.
Yeah. I just think it's just our society. But there is this disconnect that what we eat has nothing to do with how we feel, which I think if you just kind of use common sense, you get it. You feel differently when you have a bowl of Frosted Flakes as opposed to a protein shake or some scrambled eggs in the morning. The day is different. Your energy, all of your mood, everything is different, but there's still this disconnect. And so a lot of times, especially, this is something that obviously we talk a lot about here over at Mixers, is about how we think as women, we often think that this is just life. This is just how it's supposed to be because it's so common that so many of us are dealing with, terrible periods every single month, or we're having migraines, or we're having insomnia, or our sex drive is low, or whatever. And we just think, it's because I'm a woman and this is how women are built. And it just drives me nuts because I just think, no, absolutely. Why? Why would we be designed to suffer? That's definitely not how we're designed. And it's just missing the, healthy fats and getting those omega-3s and getting the minerals. And just so you know, the majority, when we do blood work, when I was working with my clients and stuff, and we do blood work and do panels, pretty much all of us are deficient in vitamin D, in omega-3, and in magnesium.
Yep.
So those are key, nutrients that you want to seek out in your food, which is obviously the ideal. But then it's hard because a lot of our food is deficient because it's so processed, or even those, the food that we grow and it's organic. So it's just still depleted because the soil that it's grown in is depleted. So it's important to go into supplementation and things like that if you feel like that's something that is beneficial to you, especially if you're dealing with symptoms.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a telltale sign.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like you said, these girls, so I have a 16-year-old daughter. Her friends are being checked out of school for terrible periods, terrible cramps, heavy bleeding. And they all are like, well, this is just how it is. And I keep telling them, no, that's your body screaming for help. If your body is in pain or heavy bleeding, things like that, that is your body trying to talk to you. It cannot verbally talk to you. So it shows or talks to you with symptoms. And so when I always tell them, there's help for this. This is, like you said, the omega-3s, or maybe it's inflammation. They need some turmeric. There's a whole slew of things that it could be.
Right.
But we've got to educate the women that that's just your body talking to you. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Let's help it.
And, it's not like women aren't going out and trying to seek answers, but the frustrating part is that, for instance, these teenage girls, when my daughter was going through this, when she was a teenager, she was like, well, you just kind of picked the short end of the straw, or however that phrase goes. And this is just, you're one of those girls that just is going to have really bad periods. So what we can do is we can prescribe birth control, or we can give you some Midol. You're going to have to miss some days of school or not be able to participate in the sporting event or whatever, instead of teaching women that, oh, okay, let's listen to what your body's telling you. Your body is like communicating with you. These symptoms are actually your body's language trying to express to you that it needs a little extra TLC. So instead of drinking that Diet Coke and that bag of Fritos and, eating that bag of Fritos for lunch that's in the, the little vending machine in every high school, like, why don't we start implementing more fruits and vegetables and some healthy fats and things? Yeah. Right. It's a frustration and we're working on it, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to explode my frustration on everybody.
This is what this podcast is all about, because we just are having these conversations and it matters. And I feel like people that are listening are now going to go and have this, conversation with their daughters, and they're going to have a conversation with their friends and sisters and all the women that are in their life. It's important to put two and two together.
But I do think the pendulum's swinging.
Yeah.
Like, I think we are waking up to all of this. And so it's now just educating more.
The amount of people that are following what you're putting out there is a testament to that. People are like, I want this education. I want this information. And they're looking for trusted sources. So that is awesome that you have been this resource that is somebody that, people trust you. They know that what you're doing, you care. There's heart behind it. And there's a purpose that's good, behind it. It's not just like to have like content. It's actually, there's a heart behind it. And I love that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
People are learning. And I love that there are so many companies trying to provide better choices, because trying to live this way like 10 years ago was really hard. Like, you had to go to Whole Foods.
Yeah.
You had to go somewhere like that, where now you just go to Walmart, Target, your Kroger, and they've got amazing choices and better beauty products and better foods. And so I do think that pendulum's swinging. People are learning. Yeah. So it's awesome.
Yes. We're, part of that movement, right?
Exactly.
And all of us, we're all part of this movement. And it is so different. Like, when I started in practice over 25 years ago, it was like, I was the crazy woo-woo, person that I even brought up the fact that what we did to fuel your body was going to have an effect on your mood. I used to teach my clients about good mood foods, and, and there's, some great books that have been written, but not back then. Like, that was something that was just like bizarro. And I love now that it's like kind of becoming more common knowledge. So
it is.
Yeah.
There are the naysayers out there. Yeah. I just had someone this weekend tell me that ingredients don't matter, that that red dye doesn't do anything when it passes through your system. And I had to teach, well, actually, all ingredients do something. Mm-hmm. Even water does something at the cellular level. So they all do something, whether they nourish your body or not. That's what you get to choose.
Okay. So there's a few that they're living in the cave still, but we'll be patient. We'll keep inviting them to come out to the light. So, okay. Well, I want you to continue with your story, if you don't mind. Just telling us maybe some of the specifics and things that you did. So when you're working with your doctor, she was saying it's time to change up your nutrition. What did that look like? What was that all about? What was the biggest change that you had to implement?
So she did give me supplements, which that was a whole new world to me. You would think that's just common knowledge. No, I didn't know what amino acids were. Yeah. She actually gave me ashwagandha, and I was like,
what the heck?
What is this? Yeah, exactly. I couldn't even say it. I was like, what is this? So that was like the first step. But then the second step, this was actually comical. Like I said, I knew nothing. I also was living in the low fat craze.
Oh, yeah.
And so
we're probably about the same age. You're probably younger than me, but yeah, that was huge, was right?
Awesome if I had like 10 grams of fat or less.
You're counting those fat grams. Yeah.
And
so dumb.
Which, looking back, I'm like, that probably was the root cause to my hormonal issues, because you need the healthy fats to even build the hormones. Yes. So I'm sure that's what caused that. Anyways, I remember the very first thing she was like, let's just start somewhere basic. How about whole grains? Do you get whole grains in your diet? And I was like, wheat? Is that a whole grain? And she's like, well, how about like some quinoa? And I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had to start really, really basic. Yeah. And so she was like, well, let's just start with one serving of whole grains a day. And like gave me a list of like different ones I could have, like the quinoa or the oats or, things like that. And so started with that. And then like the next appointment would be like, how many fruits and veggies are you getting a day? And it was, maybe some carrots at night if I'm lucky. Like, I wasn't even, you would think it's common sense, but it wasn't. No. I just ate whatever. And I was like, I don't know. Am I supposed to have fruits and vegetables every day?
Because we back then and kind of still today a little bit too, it's so much about the like macronutrients, like counting the different like carbs and, fat and protein instead of thinking like what is actually the source of each of those macronutrients, right? So I get it. So it's easy for people to be like totally forgetting the fruits and vegetables.
So I mean, we had to start at the basics. Yeah. So then it was fruit and vegetables. Then the next time was probiotics. And we were on a really tight budget because my husband had just lost his job. And I was like, I can't afford a probiotic. And she's like, that's okay. There's foods you can eat that have probiotics. And so she taught me what kimchi was. I went to the store. I don't love kimchi.
It's okay.
But I would have a spoonful a day just thinking like, okay, this is my probiotics I'm getting for the day,
Yeah.
And so then after that, it was artificial dyes. And she was like, go look in your pantry and just see what has artificial dyes and let's try to replace them for a better thing. And I remember being shocked that there was artificial dye in hand soap.
Yeah.
I was like, why do we need it in hand soap? Like, what are we doing? And I was shocked with a lot of things. And so we would take one thing at a time and be like, once I felt good, like, oh, okay, I've got artificial dyes down now. Like I've got that out of my pantry. I understand what better swaps to make without them. Then we would like move on to something else.
Yeah.
Or she would be
this
like,
doctor, by the way.
I know.
She's so great.
I know. But like while we're working on artificial dyes, she's like, okay, it's really important to get vitamin D. And thankfully we lived in Arizona at the time. And so I was like, I can't really afford that. I can't afford my appointments with you in the first place, but I've got to, you know. So every day I just went outside. And then she's like, well, if you're going to be outside, let's just walk every day because we need to move your body. And that's a good form of exercise. So it was legit the first time I ever bought running shoes.
Yeah.
And I just started jogging and enjoying the light. So it was little simple things that she helped me see and do.
This doctor, we just need to like replicate this doctor and just spread them out through every town and city because I know that we need more like this. So if you're a doctor that's like this, thank you so much. We need more like you. I love what she does too. Instead of the like, we're going to take this out of your life and this is bad and you should be terrified of this. I love that approach. I call it crowding out by bringing more good in. So like naturally when you bring in some of these good foods or these good habits that you're talking about, you don't have to think about eliminating something that maybe was a big part of your life. Instead, it's just like bringing in something good kind of takes up the space. And so naturally, something that wasn't serving you kind of can go out of your life. And so you're not like thinking about the deprivation part of it. You're thinking about how to add more good. And it's so effective. And too many of us are doing the all or nothing. And that relies on willpower. And willpower can only, it's great to have good willpower, but willpower can only last so long. It's not ever going to be something that's sustainable to just use willpower. So instead, it sounds like this approach that you took was an empowered approach instead of a willpowered approach. And so I love that. It's the best way to go. And obviously it was very effective and you were successful with it.
Well, and if you take this empowered approach, it is not a 2-week trendy like diet.
Nope.
It's okay, I'm going to make a little change here. And then when I'm good with that change, I'll make another little change until eventually all these changes add up to a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
It took me years to get to where I am now. It wasn't, the sprint of let's do it all today. And so I tell people all the time, like just one little change at a time, and eventually it will all add up. So don't overwhelm yourself, empower yourself, learn a little bit about it and do something else.
I love it. I love it. So good. I would like to talk a little bit about some specific nutrients because I think it's very interesting. I nerd out on this stuff all the time and I love it when I have somebody else that's a fellow nerd. Thank you for joining me. What is it about amino acids that is so key? If you are somebody that is dealing with depression, like why is it so important to make sure that you're getting in key amino acids?
Okay, so for a lot of people, like we said, depression has so many different root causes. So I hate to just say, if you're dealing with depression, you need amino acids because
it's just a part.
It may not be one of your issues. Sure. For me, it was.
Yeah.
Just because we tested, all the different amino
so
acids,
let's
things
back
like
up
that.
Then. What did you test that helped you to know that that was something that you needed to work on?
That was done in a saliva test.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Ask your doctor for the saliva test that looks at the amino acids.
Yes.
And so the amino acids are the building blocks for your proteins, right? And the proteins actually are the building blocks for your neurotransmitters, things like that. And so if you don't have the amino acids, you're not going to build the neurotransmitters correctly, basically is what it comes down to. And so it's really important to get, we can find amino acids in protein sources. You can get them in fruits and vegetables and stuff too.
But mainly from protein sources, right? So for instance, something that I always like to teach about, serotonin is our feel-good neurotransmitter. In order for serotonin to be produced, there's lots of ways that we need to promote that. But one of the ways that we do that is we eat protein that contains tryptophan. Okay. So tryptophan is your amino acid. And I always like to kind of describe it like it's the key that helps to unlock the ability for your body then to produce and then release serotonin. And but if somebody is not either getting in enough of this amino acid, or, there's other amino acids out there too that are not just tryptophan, but if they're not getting it, or maybe they are eating it, but then there's something that's preventing them from being able to break it down, metabolize, and put it to use. There's other tests that you also need to be looking into, which are like gut health. Right?
I was going to say, then you have your digestion issues, because if you're not digesting properly, then you're not absorbing the nutrients.
Right.
And so you've got to absorb the nutrients, because some of the vitamins, how nerdy are we going to get?
We're going to get so nerdy, guys. Are you ready?
Because there are vitamins like B6 is the cofactor, the helper molecule, we'll say, to building neurotransmitters. We need B6 to build the neurotransmitters. So if you're not absorbing your nutrients from your fruits and vegetables and stuff in your gut, then you're going to be low on B6s, right?
Right.
B9s help break down amino acids so that your body can use them. But if we're not absorbing the B9s, so really, we can't just say to people go supplement with amino acids, because first you got to make sure that your gut is actually absorbing them.
It's kind of like this domino effect, right? I think that's the case. But just being aware that that is even something that you should go and look into. I think so many people they think it's just A to B, but really there's B, C, D, E, F, G. There's all of these things that shouldn't feel overwhelming, but actually empowering for you to know. There's lots of things that you can actually look into. So what Karalynne is saying is making sure that you are getting in lots of good, nutrients through the food that you're eating. But you might, even if you are getting really great nutrients through the food that you're eating, you might not have the digestive health that's going to help you to break down those foods and then be able to release and then absorb those nutrients in your body. So I always recommend, continue.
No, I was going to say, so now this is when everyone gets overwhelmed.
Yes,
so let's give them a little tip.
Okay,
few tips.
I love it.
So first, they know that they probably have digestion issues if they're bloated after every meal, diarrhea, gas, a lot of gas.
Yeah.
I have friends that are oh my gosh, I have so much gas all the time. I'm okay, well, you aren't breaking down something, most likely the proteins. Okay, so those are the signs you would have.
Which I think sometimes we dismiss. We think, everybody deals with this. It's just what I do. But no,
or these stomach hurting after eating.
These are symptoms that you should pay attention to.
So those are symptoms, but then things that they can do to help. One of the best things is fiber.
Yeah.
Fiber feeds the good bacteria that's going to help in the digestion. So more fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
That is because people think I got to get to the doctor and see what they say. And I'm no, start with eating more fruits and vegetables. Let's start there.
Start doing that and see if it already can solve itself, without having to go to the doctor. So yeah, absolutely. Fruits and vegetables are filled with obviously vitamins and minerals and things, but they have fiber. And fiber is what helps us to move things along and out, because our body has all of these detoxification organs and processes. And one of the things to, support our health is to be able to make sure that those detoxifying actions, pathways, there you go, that's the word I was looking for, are clear and that they're working. And it's crazy to me. I talk about poop, I talk about sex, I talk about periods all the time. But when it comes to poop, we really should be pooping a couple times a day. And women are always shocked when I say that. Ideally, we should be 2 or 3 times a day. I don't know very many women that actually are able to do that. Once a day, we're woohoo, because so many women are dealing with major constipation, and they're once a week.
Right.
So if this is an issue for you and you are also dealing with symptoms like depression, upping your fiber and doing whatever it is that you can to help support your digestion and your detoxification pathways is going to definitely be something that you want to implement if you're dealing with depression, right?
So besides, a lot of people with depression have gut issues.
Yeah.
It's almost hand in hand. I mean, not all the time, but
the brain
close.
and gut are super connected. Yes.
Right. And the other thing besides just needing to absorb the nutrients, almost all of our hormones at some point come in contact with the gut, whether to be regulated, produced, secreted, whatever. And so there's actual enzymes in the gut that will help with all of this. And if we don't have the good bacteria to do all the right things with the hormones, it causes hormonal issues.
Yeah. It's just
which causes depression,
cascading domino effect, right? So basically the moral of the story is that we just need to really just kind of look at the ingredients and the things that we're putting into our bodies and start there and then keep going. Like if there's other things that are like, showing up in your life, other symptoms like digestive issues or whatever, then keep going down that road and see what you need to do. Maybe it is that you need to take an additional like digestive enzyme supplement or do something to help to promote like more acidity in the gut, which I know people are always like, are you supposed to get rid of the acidity in your gut? I hate that so much. Like antacids are like, I'm sorry, they do not help you in one. Maybe they get rid of symptoms. That's a whole other episode. Yep. Yes, but just know, like you need your body to be able to like when it receives that food to be able to break it down. Okay, because that's key. That's key, and so many of us are deficient, so we're not able to do that.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we literally could go down so many rabbit holes here.
Well, okay. So besides the gut, can I just say this,
please?
Women sometimes have a hard time detoxing, and that's key in our hormones and key in how we feel with our moods and things. Yeah. And people think they need to go buy like some detox thing, but exercise and water and sleep are so amazing for detoxing. Yep. And in fact, okay, here's a little known fact that most women don't know, which is crazy. We should all know this.
Okay.
I know you know this, but, but our liver, right, detoxes our estrogen. And if we aren't detoxing correctly or have problems, then that estrogen doesn't get detoxed and just gets put back into our system. And that's why a lot of us are estrogen dominant.
Yep.
And people are always shocked when I'm like, well, how are you supporting your liver so that you're not estrogen dominant? Yeah. And they're like, what?
You're like, what does the liver have to do with any of this?
Right?
Has everything to do with it.
Has everything to do with it. And so, like I said, moving, water, sleep are so important for our hormones.
Yeah.
And if our hormones are off, then that's a huge contributor of depression as well.
It's so related. It's absolutely part of it. And so something to pay attention to. I always talk about how we need to love up on our liver, love up on our gut, because it does definitely, it's these detoxification pathways that we've been talking about. It's so important that we do everything we can. Some of the ways that you can support your liver is by getting certain nutrients. So like nutrients that especially come from our sulfur family. So like our broccoli and our cabbage and our cauliflower, they have what's called sulforaphane in it. And that is like a necessary nutrient that helps your body to be able to methylate and then metabolize and then to eventually detoxify. So, but doing things like eating the right foods, but I like how you're saying like just exercising, having like your pathways include like sweat. So many toxins and so many things are, removed from our body just through sweat, but also making sure that you're pooping regularly, that you are, you're eating the right foods to support liver function, that you're avoiding trying to overburdening your liver by, eating the wrong kinds of foods or drinking the wrong kinds of liquids or putting too many like harmful substances on your body as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say, there's 3 ways that we take in toxins. Well, first of all, let's say the liver is an amazing detoxer, right? Yeah. So when people are like, oh, you're such an extremist or whatever, I'm like, no, I enjoy treats too. Like my liver is going to detox anything from the treats. Like you don't have to be all or nothing. Let's just support our liver. But our liver is an amazing detoxer. So that's why we don't need to freak out about like, oh, I ate this or whatever. But we don't want to eat cake every single day. Okay.
Like, let's be smart, you guys. Come on. Yeah.
But another way to support our liver is glutathione.
Oh,
glutathione is our master antioxidant. It is what the liver needs to detox. So those foods you were talking about help produce glutathione, but then we can also supplement with it if we need to. So, but it goes back to women knowing the basics about their body. Like, oh, my liver helps with my estrogen. Okay, let's support it.
Yeah. And not to make this a plug for Hertime, but that is what is in Hertime because it is a little overwhelming to know, like,
Right.
these are the foods I have to eat, and this is why I have to eat them. And so, the reason that Hertime exists is because we wanted to make health easy. So we made sure that we're putting in the ingredients that help to support your body's functions that are necessary in order to support hormone balance naturally. That's how Hertime works. That's why it's effective. That's why it's helping to reduce estrogen dominance, helping to enhance progesterone production, and to, just overall balance our sex hormones, but also our stress hormones and, all of the things that are hormone related in our body. So yeah, that's why.
It is an amazing product.
Well, it's an amazing product, but it comes from amazing foods that have been put here on this earth that have to nourish us, right?
Exactly.
But it's just sometimes hard. I don't know why. So it's a supplement that helps to kind of fill in the gaps, right? To just make it a little easier for us. Not the all or nothing. I still want you eating broccoli, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. This is fun. All right. So let's continue just quickly. I know we're going to need to wrap things up because busy girls over here, but, what would you say if, I know we've been talking about a lot of things, like nutrition is going to matter a lot. We kind of brushed over a little bit about how important it is to also pay attention to the things that we're putting on our bodies. And,
I forgot. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
We went on a detour or something.
Did.
Wait, I forgot to tell you the three things.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah. The 3 ways that we absorb toxins. That's why I was talking about the liver. Oh, okay. Here we go. So you digest them with your food, right? So we can be careful of the choices we make so that we don't overburden our liver. 2, we absorb them, and that's through our beauty products, like rubbing in our body lotion, our bath wash. A lot of those chemicals can seep into the bloodstream, and so we just want to make better choices, so that again we don't overburden our liver. And then the 3rd way is we breathe them. So candles, plug-ins, air fresheners, all cleaning supplies, those things. So we just want to make better choices with those as well, because that's another way that we can help support our liver.
Yeah. Thank you. So, I'm so glad.
I'm glad you brought that up.
No, and I'm glad that you remembered. I was like, there's more we wanted to talk about, but no, it's so true. And this time of year, when we're recording this podcast, it's the fall. And this is the time when everybody's like so excited to pull out their candles and have the yummy fall smells and the pumpkin and all of that. But then this is also the time of year back when I was, working with you girls one-on-one, it was like, it always tended to be November, December, and then especially January when everybody was coming, just like feeling like they were completely messed up. Now, part of that had to do with like the holidays and being crazy and the stress and the, little less sleep and more sugar and all of that. But I honestly feel like so many of the things that people were getting also bombarded with was just the fragrances that were around them all the time, especially those that were suffering with like headaches and things like that. And so just be mindful. There's some great, it's awesome to have a good smelling home. I have a bionic nose. Like it matters to me how my environment smells, but I've learned that there's some more natural ways that are more hormone friendly that you can, create that kind of environment. Essential oils are my favorite, but even just like, having it on your stovetop, some like cinnamon and cloves and like orange slices. I know that sounds like grandma, but it works and it smells amazing. And you can just feel good knowing that you're not putting anything harmful that's like hormone disruptive out into the air that you're breathing. Matters.
Well, and what is so nice though about today, because years ago, like if I wanted to burn a candle, there were no good candles. I had to do essential oils or stovetop.
Right.
But now there's like better choice candles out there, that are phthalate free and without formaldehyde releasers, things like that. And same with like the air fresheners. We had no air fresheners for years until these better choice companies were, starting to make them. So you don't have to go without. Like if you love candles, love air fresheners, you don't have to go without. Let's just make a better choice.
Better choices. I love that. Yeah. I love that. And then, don't think it has to be all or nothing either. Like you don't have to go cold turkey, but when you finish burning that candle, when you replace it with something that's a better option. Same thing with your food, same thing with your beauty products, same thing with all of this. So,
yep.
Well, fun.
That's how it becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah. And doable and easy and not overwhelming. Because, we're already dealing with enough, right?
Exactly.
We don't need more stuff to be stressed out about and depressed over and all of that stuff. So so let's just,
one little step at a time.
One little step at a time. I love it. All right. Anything else that you want to share?
No, that would be it. Is really like you just summed it up so well. As moms, busy employers, college students, high school students, whatever we're at in life, all of us are so busy.
Yeah.
And we're stressed. The stresses of the world are crazy. There's so much junk food. Like we don't need anything else stressing us out anything else to worry about. So don't think that living this healthy lifestyle is eating only kale and sardines. Eat what you like to eat, but just make better choices. Use the candles, use the products you like, but let's just make better choices. It's all about just making a swap. Let's just make the better choice so that in return, we can live a life more of energy and happiness and a life of being fulfilled.
And it's amazing what a difference it can make. And, I always say when we feel healthy, then we have the ability to go out and do all the good in the world that we are here to do. And it's like, I think sometimes we don't ever recognize how crappy we're feeling until we start feeling good.
That is true.
And so it's worth it. It's worth it if it feels like, just taking that one step. It's worth it because you will feel so much better and your life will just feel so much happier and more balanced. So thank you.
That is true.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
There's lots of ways that our community can connect with you. I'm going to put all of the connections in our show notes, but you want to follow, definitely if you have Instagram, you're going to want to follow just ingredients, right?
Yep.
So follow her there. But you also have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I was a guest on her podcast a few months back, and I absolutely love your podcast. You have amazing guests on there. And,
thank you.
And you're an amazing host. And so there's so many ways. What are some other ways? Your website, what are some other ways people can connect with you?
We now have a Facebook group.
Awesome.
Our website is sort of fun because it's justingredients.us. And all of my favorites are on there because people are always like, what's your favorite teenage shampoo? Or what does your son use for shaving cream? Or what do your kids take for a supplement? You know what I mean? So it's all on there.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then we just started TikTok, which is hilarious. I don't know if I meant for TikTok, but we're trying. So you can also find us on TikTok.
All of these platforms. I know it's funny, but we're trying. We're trying to be, where you are, right?
Trying to educate everyone. So we've got to be on all the different platforms.
We got to be on all of the platforms. Well,
exactly.
You definitely want to go and take advantage because I feel like everything that Karalynne's putting out there and her team is putting out there, it's like the Bible of what is healthy, right? And it's so easy to find and it's just like easy and accessible. And so I love that. We need more places like that where it's just an easy place for us to feel like we can seek out and get answers and ideas and things like that. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
No, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope that if you found that this episode was helpful, that you will share it with the girls in your life because sharing is caring. And we look forward to bringing more episodes like this with amazing guests. And it helps us when you guys leave us a rating and review. It helps us to be able to get into, the awareness of so many other girls out there, but it also helps us to attract amazing guests like Karalynne. So be sure to do so. And we appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back next week.